April 18th, 2022, Anthony, I survived AHOACon 2022. Who would have thought?
Yes, and I'm in Times Square, baby, and it's busy.
Sorry, it's been what?
It's busy.
Yeah.
I'm Anthony. Welcome to No Vacancy Live. That's my friend Glenn.
You're watching the #1 show in hospitality.
Hey, everybody. Happy Tax Day to one and all. The most joyous day of the year, the most exciting time where we get to talk to the government in a very formal way. How are you, Anthony?
Yes, my tax day was March 15th. But,
That's good. Mine will be some point in the future. I had to file an extension. That's my my annual tradition here.
I was going to say, you do that every year.
I know. I can't seem to get my act together because, it's only 4 months. Come on,
I have a heart attack if I just feel like they're gonna knock on my door.
Yeah, sure. Anyway, welcome to episode 619 of No Vacancy Live. Very excited to have you all here today with us. And Anthony, before we bring out our great guest today, and we're going to be talking about interior design, custom fabrication, jobs in America, and how all of that relates to the hospitality. But before we do that, I just wanted to tell you, I was really, we've been following this story quietly behind the scenes, but our good friend Chris Screen at Chesapeake Hospitality is they're getting acquired by our friends over at Remington and Sloan Dean over there. The first of 2 big mergers announced today.
Wow. I mean, I can't imagine 2 better companies to work together. I mean, Sloan and Chris are my 2 favorite people.
And they will be here on Wednesday to talk to us about what I hope will be an anatomy of the deal, how it all came together, why people go ahead and do these deals, what are the benefits for also out there. And also very recently, 2 companies, Benchmark and Pyramid, came together. And now they've also made another acquisition. They're buying former Ambassador Gordon Sondland's Provenance hotels as well. How crazy is that?
It's crazy. And what's even crazier is that my friend Glenn Hausman and I have this conversation, I'm going to say January, right after the pandemic hit again and then it was going down. We said the second pandemic is going to cause potentially a lot of mergers. Not so much with brands, but with management companies. And Glenn, once again, you are right. This is the place to come for the news.
It sure is. Also, poor us. There's going to be less events for us to do speaking gigs at, which is the real tragedy of all of this.
Well, no, we're gonna make them do separate conferences just so there's more speaking engagement.
I think that's a great idea. I love it. All right, everybody. So on Wednesday, we're going to have a great show talking to those folks. So make sure you get your questions. Tomorrow is going to be an Ask Anthony and Glenn day. I can't wait for that. And on Thursday, we're going to be in New York City doing a remote from Graduate Hotel, Roosevelt Island. A year we've been trying to get that together. Excited that we'll be able to do that one.
I am very excited about that.
Yeah. All right. Let's bring in our guest today, Mr. James Geier. Great to see you, sir. Now,
nice to see you guys.
President of 555 International. They do interior design, custom fabrication, all within hospitality and retail and other exciting venues, such as like sports stadiums and stuff like that. James, man, great to see you. I got one of your places back here. How you doing today?
Terrific. Really great to be here with you guys.
It's interesting. When I say I'm from Brooklyn, there's a certain kind of like, I'm from Brooklyn. Like everybody understands, right? You just say Brooklyn, it's a brand. People understand. When you say South Side of Chicago, that's where your factory is. I'm like, okay, all right, you're at my level.
Thank you. There is a core. There's the core there, without a doubt.
So when Glenn says I'm from Long Island, I'm like, yeah, whatever.
Yeah. I went there once.
James, for a year after I moved back out of here from Brooklyn, I was still telling people I was from Brooklyn. The shame was so James, you've got this whole business focused on interior design, custom fabrication, all of these things in hospitality. Before we go back and look at your past that brought you here today, tell us a little bit about what your business is all about and how it kind of brings in together all of these elements that we see multiple companies typically doing when it comes to doing hospitality design.
Sure. Thank you. So knock wood, April 1st, 34 years in business here in Chicago on the South Side, 300,000 feet of manufacturing, design studio, our logistics facility, but it's really always been a continuation of not wanting to just be responsible for one component, being responsible for the entirety, from strategic concepting, programming, branding, environmental design, the impact of how front of house and back house have to work together, make the right guest experience, but how do we go about actually delivering all the real special juju, all the really nice things that you'd need to go out and find somebody to build anyway. So we built a business where it is.
You built this whole thing, right?
That whole thing right behind you is Morgan's on Fulton. So that's a catering and events venue that I own in the West Loop at the corner of Fulton and Morgan, and a pretty terrific, heady culinary area in the city of Chicago. That is a brand new structure put up this past year in a continuation of really developing the building, 4 stories, very, very high-end wedding events and corporate events in that beautiful rooftop space with the view of the Fulton Market District.
And did you say you own that? You own the building and the venue?
Yes, I own the building. I've been developing it for about 13 years now. Have other tenants in the building. First floor, we opened a restaurant in the middle of the pandemic, August of last year, I guess, whatever year it was. It's a place called Marvin's Food and Fuel. Morgan's on Fulton, the rooftop venue, had been open for 6 years. When pandemic showed up, shut down, given back all of the deposits we'd taken for all the fabulous events, and an empty restaurant space on the first floor. So in that case, came up with a concept in short order, got my licensing together, opened up Marvin's. The continuation of that was building our culinary program to be able to be in business, get back in business at Morgan's, and really deliver some really superior high-end events, very casual events, very approachable. So the combination of 22,000 feet on 4 stories is what that corner is about.
So, but let's get back to your core business of manufacturing. And one of the reasons I started my show a long time ago, Hotel Impossible, was to show people how wonderful this business is, right? So you're hospitality adjacent outside of when you were a lifeguard at 12 years old. We'll talk about that in a second. But like when you walk into a hotel, one of the things that's wonderful and also frustrating is you develop a hotel. I actually developed a hotel probably a block from here. It was a $100 million hotel we developed for an owner, and we basically, I took over when it was already just they built it, but it was the skin still wasn't on it. And when we opened it, it was exciting. It was wonderful. Worrying about the signage, worrying about the glass, worrying about all the things that you do. And then like 2 months later, when you start hiring other people, not the people that started with you, they have no idea what you go through. They have no idea how difficult it is to build that right piece of glass, sign, whatever it is. And that always fascinates and frustrates me, because if you didn't go through a new build, you really don't understand the building. And when you're in a building that you built from basically the ground up, it takes on a different life. You know where every little nuance and every little issue or problem and concern is. So I love the fact that we're talking to you, because it shows you that you're part of our industry, and without guys like you that do it right, we can't open.
Yeah, truly. And guys like me, we make sure it happens. You might hire somebody and you don't know if what they're going to do is ultimately give you the facilities that works the right way. And, the idea of why my business is kind of from beginning to end, including being an owner operator, is to make sure that there is a guarantee of how all those pieces fit. How do they work? How's the guest experience working along with then the staffing experience, front of house and back of house? So I love it beginning to end. I've grown up in it. I live it, breathe it, teach it. But the idea of all of the components that go into it, I want to be in charge. I want to make sure that I can give the client guarantees on we'll be there on time, on budget, with all the cool stuff. Could I say shit? All the cool shit we say.
Now, how can you promise that, though, when it's like crazy for cuckoo for cocoa puffs out there when it comes to supply chain issues, for example?
Right now, just like anything else, supply chain issues, it could be beef and poultry these days, or it could be cold rolled steel and aluminum and fabrics. If you're willing to pay the price, you can usually find it, but it is difficult. We have to, be agile. when we're presenting ideas. Maybe it's not these 3 chairs, maybe there's 8 chairs that we could look at that are going to give us an opportunity to ebb and flow a little bit. What's interesting these days, and you bring up supply chain, it's crazy because we're buying furniture now before we finish design of the projects, because furniture, a lot of it coming from overseas, is such a long lead time. You would normally get through most of the design and then, all right, we're going to pick these pieces. It could be 8 weeks, 10 weeks, 16 weeks.
Now we're talking, it could be 6 months in some.
Could be, and you don't even know when it shows up. So,
and even if it shows up, it doesn't mean it can get off a boat.
And what's happening in Shanghai right now, it was locked down again. So people are forgetting that that's going to have repercussions. I mean, Shanghai is one of the biggest manufacturing cities in the world. And they're shut down. Has that kind of been a issue?
Well, what's really nice, finally, at this late stage in my career, is made in America, made on the south side of Chicago is becoming a thing again. And a lot of manufacturers are coming and looking for domestic sources, where that's been such a problem for many years because of price. And, you know, we're in the south side of Chicago and it's still cold as shit here. And we have to heat old buildings and it's not so efficient. We have these beautiful big old factory loft buildings, but there's quality, there's service. If I guarantee it, we'll deliver it. So Made in America is coming back, and we're having lots of people calling and asking for that as an option now.
I'd like to ask about the labor issue here. Are you able to find highly skilled professionals that can do this manufacturing? Because what I've been following over the last 40 years since I was, in junior high and going into high school in the 80s was that we started to eliminate all of these programs that honored people that worked with their hands. It really created a culture that said, if you don't go to college, you're not as valuable. So I worry about that and our ability to actually compete on the same level as other countries. So where are we, in your opinion, with that issue and how it affects your business?
Well, coming out of high school, we called it VOTech, vocational technology, is where we were headed. Industrial arts and manufacturing and getting jobs that weren't necessarily college degree directed. And there's less and less of that in high schools, right? There's less and less of that in education, hand skills, manufacturing knowledge, things like that. But we've always grown our staff internally. We'll hire people that might start sweeping the floor and they'll start to work their way up. And, it's difficult. I mean, the staffing and finding true professionals and experience are difficult in all aspects of these business. It is tough here, right? Be careful what you wish for. You might get it. What do I do? Do I have enough hands and enough benches to make the stuff? But we've been working hard to obviously keep a par level of skill and experience in our world. And we did not shut down during the pandemic. We were fortunate enough to be kind of essential manufacturing with a very specialty lighting company we have, New Star Lighting. So it's given us the opportunity just to continue what we've been doing for all these years.
Wow.
Yeah, and everything you're talking about, whether it be entrepreneurial, whether it be a restaurant, whether it be your banquet space, whether it be manufacturing, supply chain issues, labor issues, you seem to have a pretty positive kind of attitude that kind of like, I can do anything, I'm a superhero. How do you get that?
I wake up every day with a smile on my face and I go back to work. And, I've always tried to maintain a pretty positive mental attitude, PMA all the way, I say a lot. Nothing I could do about yesterday, I could do today and tomorrow. And I've always been one of those that, has to kind of handle a lot and coordinate a lot. Cool heads prevail. I believe in that. I'm very able to be flexible, come up with usable ideas, thought-provoked ideas that we might have to use in the case of having to pivot. How can we get around certain situations? So my job is to be creative, be flexible, think on your feet, and keep everybody else positive. I'm a big leader.
So if you're a craftsman, whether it be woodworking, metalwork, whatever, and you're looking for a job, are you hiring people right now?
Yeah. Yep.
That's good. So hopefully
certain amount of skills. Yeah. Hey, knock on my door, without a doubt.
Please knock on. Yeah, and that's one of the things I tell people. Just knock on people's doors right now because everybody's looking. Somebody asked me the other day, "What do I do?" I said, "Put your pants on, walk out the door. You'll find a job."
Yeah, there's something. And dedicate to it. How about this? Now you just got to dedicate to learning that craft. That's kind of part of the problem in today's world kids these days, so to speak, more immediacy. They see people getting really wealthy on really quick ideas or apps or what have you. There's a certain amount of time, skill, experience you have to put into it to make you super valuable. So we work hard on that.
You have to want to do it. Like my nephew is graduating engineering school in a month, and we're so proud of him. I was with him yesterday, and we said, are you dating? No, don't have time for that. Are you selling sneakers online like everybody? No, don't have time for that. Are you buying crypto? I don't have time for that. He goes, I have a job as an engineer. That's the only thing I have time for.
Yeah, I love that. YOLO to that, without a doubt. And that's what it's supposed to be. Make that career decision and work towards it. It's not easy. My daughter's working at Masterworks now in New York. She got this amazing job, art historian. It's hard work. She's killing it and doing wonderful with it. And the opportunities will abound, but you got to put the time in and learn it, and you're going to take your lumps, and not every day is going to be a happy day. But I also look at it like a full year. I can't be critical of what happened in such a short period of time. Our full length of our projects and getting them done is a very important part of the factor. So you got to focus on a bigger picture and a longer term commitment.
So James, I'm really curious as to how all of this came together for you, and I definitely want to go back to the swimming thing eventually. But obviously you're good at design and you work well with your hands. When did it all come together to say, hey, we could do all of these things to make it easier on the customer and probably create more profitability for our company?
Out of college, I had an industrial engineering degree and a fine arts degree in industrial design, and all I ever wanted to do was design and manufacture products. I'd grown up kind of as a carpenter and a really good mechanic and an engineer, and always a young product designer, tinkering when I was a little kid. I made a sail for my skateboard. I was windsurfing in the streets in the early 70s, before that was a thing, with parts and pieces that I bought at the hardware store. I designed and built, owned and operated my first bar and restaurant on the north side of Chicago Union. Myself and my partners literally did the construction, designed everything, manufactured everything, and then we operated it. So that was truly, it's also the same year that I started 555. That was truly, after all of my experiences growing up, my experience in college, many jobs working in and around the hospitality industry, it was putting it all together to design, build, own, and operate, brand, market, promote, and continue with that. So I'd have to say, 88 or thereabouts, it started to come fruition. I started 555, not because I wanted to, but a prior client had called me up and asked if I'd be willing to do some consulting work. The opportunities then are, well, what else can I do? What other responsibilities can I take on? So I would have to say, for now 34 years in my own business and 5 years prior, the first job that I worked for out of college, it truly was trying to put it all together and be wholly responsible for everything. And I take on that responsibility. I have really amazing clients. I work for some of the best in many industries. And it's really rewarding when owners of professional sports teams and some of the top chefs and restaurateurs in the world look and say, just let James do it. He knows what he's doing. And I bring,
that's right.
bring
And just
the team
to
and bring
support you a little bit on there, you've worked with hotel brands like, a Loft, AC Hotels, for example, major companies like Coca-Cola, Dallas Cowboys, Fred Siegel, Goose Island Beer. Ooh, I like that one. Hard Rock. Goes on and on. Oh, the NBA, McDonald's, Marriott, Nike, Playboy, Saks Fifth Avenue, Viceroy Hotels, Wynn Las Vegas. Ooh, what'd you do at Wynn? What'd you do over at Wynn?
It was La Cave, a restaurant, wine room, the Wine Hideaway. We did that. Had really great opportunities. Yeah.
But you said something. You said, or Glenn said, it's like, hey, just call James and he'll get it done, and people know you get it done. So, I talk about the 5. Is that my dog?
I think so.
Okay.
I think it's a dog on the other side. What are the dogs in this? Staff brings dog to work.
Yeah, my dog doesn't bark that loud.
Oh, beauty.
But what I talk about, the pillars of success, the 5 pillars of success, and and they all come down. At the end result is trust, right? So reliability, stick-to-itiveness, all those pillars really, it's about trust. That's why, people call you, because it's not, you may be really good, you may be the best in the business, but that's not the only reason they're calling you. They're calling you because you get shit done.
Yep.
And getting shit done is why they call people who are talented. I always say, if you are, or you've heard this 100 times, if you want something done, give it to a busy person.
Yes, right. True that. And most people ask me, what's your favorite project? And all I say is the last one done, right? For a lot of reasons. Beginning to end, and I enjoy them. The projects have nuances and issues and problems, but I also take that responsibility and that burden, and I carry it to make it happen.
Well,
my
you just said
reputation,
burden and responsibility. Those are great words. Burden and responsibility.
And I take it pridefully, with great confidence. And I get projects I'm scared the hell out of, right? Different aspects.
I was just going to ask you. Did you ever take a project where you knew, like, you're like, oh my God, how the hell am I going to do this? Like, this is the biggest thing we've ever done. I don't know if it'll be done. And you're sitting in the room and go, don't worry about it. We got it done.
Yeah. When the Green Bay Packers called, or Jerry Jones and the Cowboys called, or Lululemon called, or Grant Atkins and Nick Kokonas called, and I could go on and on.
So tell us one. Tell us the Cowboys. What was the thing that scared the crap out of you about the Cowboys?
I end up meeting the Cowboys because we did the Packer Pro Shop for the Green Bay Packers, which is arguably still to this day the single largest pro sports merchandise retail sales per square foot.
Wow.
Well, major franchises in professional sports, they look at each other. So Cowboys, Jerry Jones were designing what is now AT&T Stadium. They went up there to see this amazing 10,000 square foot shop we did open year round at Lambeau. Mm-hmm. I got a call from the Cowboys, said, we want you to come down and talk. We're building this new mega stadium, biggest, baddest, you name it. We want to hire you to do something better, right? Do something better. And at that point, it is. And at that point, meeting Jerry and his kids that operate the team and different aspects of the business, and truly stepping out. And, there's no guarantees in the world, but now I have to do better than the Packers. And when you step up for the Cowboys, and we did a 10,000 square foot, 2-story space, we did 10 other retail stores throughout the stadium. You're telling people, don't worry about it. And then the big corporations and the big contractors are like, who's that long-haired kid telling you not to worry about it? So, stepping up and truly taking the magnitude of spending their tens of millions of dollars and saying it's going to work and the guest experience is going to be great, and I'm not going to have traffic problems at the checkout because everybody wants to get back to their seat. Every one of these are so many working pieces there that the guest doesn't really know about, doesn't care about when it works properly. Right. They know about it when it doesn't work properly and you can't get near a cash wrap. So I could give you a number of examples, but when Jerry Jones put his arm around me after a major presentation and said, this is really great, this is what we're looking forward to, don't fuck it up. So.
For sure. Anthony, James has a quote on the website that I think really sums up this vibe. We design without running to the computer. We have to think about all the elements and how each one affects the space and the person using it. With this old school approach, we're able to solve many of the challenges that are part of the process and better able to evaluate the importance of every decision prior to the final drawing process. It kind of switches things up from what we're used to, James, because what we're used to right now is the computer is your God.
Yeah. Right now, it's for me, it's always a pain in the butt, right? It's a tool. It's a wonderful tool. I was hoping to be well beyond, my life when this computer thing became a big deal.
Right.
But I truly want our staff and at every aspect of our business to think about the challenges, think about solutions. I could sketch really quick ideas that take somebody forever to draw up on a computer. So the ability to communicate directly with clients, with staff, ideas, pen's mightier than the keyboard. I can tell you that.
Right.
Yep.
And wow, that project at Cowboy Stadium, that must have been so satisfying. And I love that he put his arm around you and said, "Don't fuck it up." And he wouldn't have said that if there was 1 ounce of him thinking you would fuck it up.
Thank you. And that's it, confidence. We did the retail program at SoFi Stadium. So world champion Super Bowl Rams, major component there. That was a unique one because we weren't able to use color. And we had 2 different teams that were going to be in and out. So the idea of coming up with a major impactful retail environment and program where you're very limited in that regard. Normally, you're able to use brand logos and team colors. So this became a completely different project after doing so many team stadium stores. But
So
something that would.
how do you make something then feel of those teams when you can't actually show those teams off without outside the merchandise part?
It actually, in this regard, a lot of it is exuded by the stadium as a whole. SoFi Stadium, when you look at that beautiful structure, the materials, the sight lines, things like that. So we started off with making something that was in line with what SoFi was all about, big picture.
Mm-hmm.
But also, we talked a lot about who goes to those games.
Mm-hmm.
And let's say the Northern California, the California sensibility and style and design. So it really became, let's say, a great fashionable boutique that you might have seen in Hollywood, California. And then the team brand, the team logos would come in and merchandise that was properly placed when we would change out. They would go from 50-50 non-game day Rams Chargers merchandise to 70-30. So a lot of unique ways to then make the product change and the fixtures flex a little bit. But, trying to come up with something that people felt comfortable with. And especially since it's 2 teams in 1 stadium, you have to kind of, be a general fan, not necessarily just the Rams or not just the Chargers.
It has to be more about football itself, right?
Yes, yes. And California. You're in California, you only think about yourself usually. I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
Did you ever have no in California you think about everybody else but you screw everything up. No, I'm sorry. All right, so the I love California. Have you ever taken on a project that you failed at, you just couldn't get
I
it
do
done?
too. I'm there this week.
What's that
James?
No.
I think he got he didn't hear you. Anthony was saying what project did you fail at and what did you learn?
Have you failed? Is there any project that you just couldn't get done?
And is he still there? He looks frozen. All right. Our guest is a little frozen. So when he comes back, we'll bring him back in. Meanwhile,
We'll throw him out and bring him back.
Yeah, that's right.
But what's interesting is when I said failure, he thought he froze. So maybe it's he's allergic to the word. But what a fascinating individual. And like even when like he got on.
You want to talk to a fascinating individual? I got one right here for you.
I'm sorry, I don't know what it is.
It's called the internet, and it always is.
Well, my question was, you failed at the technology. So my question was about, have you ever taken on a project that you were convinced would get done and you just couldn't get it done?
No.
I knew that was going to be your answer.
No.
100%.
And I might not look at, but I'm very pragmatic as well. And I take on bigger responsibilities. Let's say more than I could chew. I might start walking around to find a better connection somewhere.
Sure.
I take on responsibilities in some cases.
Mm-hmm.
Hello.
Hey, we can hear you. You want to get situated, and we'll bring you back in a sec.
Okay.
All right.
No, I'm just walking into a place that probably is a little better Wi-Fi.
Right. So while you're working on
same
that,
sort of thing,
Anthony, one of the things that I find is that if you accept challenges, they make you really rise to the occasion, right? You always, at least most people, the human spirit is you will find a way. You will find the solutions. You will make it happen, even if you didn't think it could happen before, right, James?
Yeah, I take experience. I utilize experience. I give a lot of thought to what are the things that can conspire against our greatness. What are the hurdles that we're going to attain? But also, I'm very realistic with the clients up front. thinking through it all and making them a little more realistic about a time frame, a budget, a need, a want. So we're able to work towards people with confidence. We have more confidence, the client has more confidence, but it's also taking the risk and the responsibility of, working for some of the greatest chefs and restaurateurs in the world. And they're looking at me and saying, you got to do it. You can't just pull a bunch of Pinterest images out and think we're going to come up with something that, we'd be interested in. This has to be totally original. We are original. The menu's original. So, it's confidence, a lot of confidence.
I have a two-part question. The first part, when you're designing something and you have a young person or a person with less experience than you, and you know that your decision is right and their decision could be right, but it's probably not, do you allow them to make that mistake if it's not going to cost you the project or material? Do you give them an opportunity to challenge themselves and potentially fail to give them the confidence?
Yes. And, I'm not always the only one that's right. And we have a wonderful staff, and training and mentoring and teaching the staff is important as well. And giving some of the experience of, well, that didn't really work out so well. But I also like to, I say I teach, don't tell, right? I don't tell people about, this and that. I teach about how or why. So yeah, Anthony, there's plenty of things that didn't work out perfectly, but I also give over responsibility to allow them to grow as well. And, if we did a restaurant and I took a step back and kind of looked with the senior designer after the fact or us and say, you know what, I'm not really that jazzed for how those big graphics turned out, or maybe that mirror could have been bigger or smaller. Learning curve. I'm hopeful, and we're going to know that there's those discussions the next time around. But yeah, you have to allow everybody to experience it, and sometimes it works out, sometimes not. But I'm also not going to let something, completely muck up the whole project for the client.
Did you ever come out of a meeting? Curator. Did you ever come out of a meeting with a potential client that you get the phone call saying, "Hey, they want to work with you," and you're like, "Yeah, no, thank you."
Yes, yes, as well. Yeah, I mean, personalities have to align, business ideas have to align. More so later in my career now, a number of years ago, kind of made a more focused effort to work on projects that are interesting with people that I like and believe in, right? And there's plenty out there, and there's lots of competition, plenty of designers, plenty of manufacturers, but I'm very grateful that kind of using that to help helps then trickle down to the rest of our staff, and everybody understands that it's not perfect, but at least we're working with honorable people, and these are interesting projects, and we could have a big factor in making them really great.
Interesting. So when you're looking at hospitality venues, restaurants, bars, hotels, that sort of thing, what are some of the newer elements that you're seeing out there in the design dialogue that you're bringing to the table? Because James, the biggest issue that I'm seeing right now in hospitality is everybody's design wants to be so different, but they're all going different in exactly the same way and creating a new state of homogeneity as opposed to what we used to have.
Technology, too much Pinterest, too much reliance upon Google Images. Back in the day, and for me, even to this day, we actually design stuff without Pinterest boards. Think about details, ideas, things that you've seen in various projects, and pulling it together that way. So I think, unfortunately, too many young designers are just so reliant upon Pinterest boards and Google Images. And then we also have clients who have opinions, but they might not have taste. And, you get a lot of stuff sent at you with a bunch of, what do you think of this? And what do you think of that? And, if everybody kind of always had a good sense or a feel of where we're going in the end, all those suggestions start to kind of go towards that. A lot of opinions and a lot of multiple directions can get you off base if you're not careful.
Yeah, right.
That must be difficult, because I know when I walk into a hotel, especially when I did the show and the hotel's going bankrupt or it's failing, I have a very, it's only 4 days we're there, so I have a very strong mindset. If I want your opinion, I'll give it to you, right? Now, if because you wouldn't be failing if you wouldn't call me if you weren't failing. Now, when you're working with somebody for 6 months, 6 years, whatever, I do want opinions. But there are times where even on those kind of projects where you want to go into what I call just a black box of thinking, where there's nothing there, nothing existed before, and a real sense of rebuild something or build something that has never been seen before. Do you get to work on those kind of projects where it's like, give us a budget and we want a great shop, we want this, but I'm hearing a lot of noise. Is it me?
I had some people in his office. It's not you.
Okay. And you would just mute him for a second.
Yeah, I was gonna. I thought he was gonna speak, so I unmuted him. Sorry about that, but continue.
Yeah. And just like that, I would imagine your greatest joy is when you have a blank slate with nobody's opinions, and you get a goal and say, "Hey, this is the goal. Go create it."
James?
Yep. And not because it's just me against the world, or we know better than anybody else. It really is. I spend a lot of time investigating, doing research, truly understanding what the client needs is, what the guest experience is, what are we trying to sell, whether it's retail or hospitality, entertainment. Spent a lot of time digesting, looking at what might be out there, what we've done in the past, and then trying to bring together something completely genuine that comes from the feel, the heart, the soul, the menu, the concept, the players. And yeah, it's a very rewarding thing in that regard. They don't always work out that way. Many projects do definitely have certain things that are just programmatically a requirement of it.
Of course.
But the idea of worked on a restaurant called Royster in Chicago, the top chef in the world and restaurateurs, and they gave me the word Royster. They said, we're going to cook everything on a big, huge open hearth, wood fired. And we want everybody to be able to feel like they're in the kitchen with the chefs and the experience. Those were the only things I had, along with don't bring us Pinterest images because we've seen everything. And this has to be completely original like us.
Right.
Probably one of the more nerve-wracking projects of my adult life and my career, and great reward that came from that. There you go. That's Royster, right on Fulton Market, Grand Achatz, Nick Konis.
And that's the wood burning grill right there in the middle.
Yeah. And
Wow.
the idea that all the elements you see in there, the wall features, the furniture, the big surround and the big kitchen area, we make all that stuff. So the idea of, a blank slate and creating things, well, the next job is who's going to make that crazy shit, and where's it going to come from, and how's it going to work, and are these truly the things that are tactile and represent the brand, and how do we curate the right art, and where does the wood get stored? And
I love the wood being stored in that picture. It's like an art piece and practical.
Exactly. And because we only have one place to put all the wood, and it's got to be a integral part of what's going on. So the ideas that came up were purely just straight up genuine ideas that were going to solve issues, make the challenges seem not as important because of great creative ideas that you could actually build and create. A lot of times, designers will to create beautiful things, but then it's somebody else's job to figure out how to make it. And maybe it gets VE'd because it's a ridiculous design that you don't really have the opportunity.
By VE, you mean value engineered, of course, right?
Yeah, I don't like that word.
Yeah.
Those two words.
So, well, in the hotel business, that's their favorite word. But I'm in the middle of Broadway, and I have a friend that runs a company that builds a lot of stages and stuff. It would seem to me that you do some staging, that you do some theater work.
Quite a bit. We do a lot of manufacturing. Not everything we make is of our design, because we have the facilities and we've been in business for a long time. We did a huge project for the Steppenwolf Theater here this past year. They built a whole new theater. They came to us to manufacture amazing, beautiful acoustic panels that were a big important part of the architecture of the space. We do quite a bit of staging and prop work for many, many companies, experienced marketing agencies who are rolling out big brands. We do a lot of manufacturing. I have a 6-foot-tall 6-pack of beer downstairs if you need it. It's some very large Props. Yes. Love the staging.
Yeah, hold on 1 second on that. I've gotta bring that up. Hold on. Here we go. Look at those.
There you go. That's the kegs. Anyway, but 6 foot 10. You have it all right there. Yeah.
I
So
know.
Lagunitas. Yeah. There's the real one in the front. For one of their big corporate events, they have a huge brewery here. They wanted,
Yep.
outsize kegs of beer. So there you go. Those are 6 foot tall kegs of beer. I didn't know you were so quick with the photos.
You still, Glenn is the smartest and most creative and greatest human being I've ever met. So you should
Well, not true, but yeah.
don't put any expectations that he can't meet because he'll meet them all. But what you seem like a 12-year-old in a candy store,
Right? Your enthusiasm is amazing, James. After nothing personal, all these years you've been in the business, how do you keep such a positive attitude and keep we can feel the joy coming from you?
Challenges. I'm in a good place. I have 2 beautiful kids, a beautiful wife. The opportunities are there if you figure out a way to take advantage of opportunities, be flexible. I like turning situations into positives all the time, and unique challenges in business, in design.
do you meditate?
In my own way, yeah, I do.
Yeah.
In my
If
own
you don't
way.
mind me asking, what does that mean?
I spend a lot of time on my own thinking and contemplating, but working.
Yeah.
I do a lot of the maintenance and repair and cleanup of my building on Saturday and Sunday mornings in Fulton Market. I go to my home in Wyoming, and I do a lot of the garden work. I work in my sculpture studio.
Cool.
My meditative space is when I'm on my own. Even just being able to take a second off and think about the things that are exciting for me. I don't have a meditative practice. I know it's a wonderful thing for a lot of people. I work a lot. I probably have 3 different careers going on at any given time. But I find my place, and it's a time where I could just slow down and think, and usually that's where I'm kind of coming up with solutions for major challenges as well.
I completely relate to that. That's kind of what I do. I'm not like I'll sometimes sit and breathe and meditate, but typically it's the same thing.
Yeah. Get away from just all the media, right? Just kind of thinking it's on any level. I could be 20 minutes I'm driving in my car from my home to my shop, from my shop to Fulton Morgan. In those 20 minutes, I don't hop on the phone right away. Good. I'm usually thinking or contemplating, or, turn on an amazing tune because, I love indie music and, love live music and love being inspired by that. So seeing a lot of music is kind of meditative for us as well.
All right, question from the crowd then. What's on your bucket list to go travel to?
Tibet.
Yeah, I always wanted to go to Tibet. I wanted to go to the highlands. Bucket list to travel to. I travel a lot. The last thing I do is I get on a plane. So
you want to go to your place in Wyoming?
I want to go to my place in Wyoming. Dear friends have a wonderful place in Costa Rica on the West Coast. I get to go down there a lot and surf. But I do a lot of traveling and just kind of hanging and chilling. My place in Wyoming.
Well, if you're a surfer, next time you go to JFK, come to Rockaway. Rockaway has great surfing. It's right near JFK.
Will you meet me there?
Sure.
Yeah. All right. If you like cocktails, I'll meet you at the rooftop bar.
I'll pray. It's all I'll pray.
James, Bob is asking, any retail or hospitality space that really puts you in awe of the work that was accomplished?
That's a great question, Bob. And good to see you, my friend.
There is so much beautiful work that is being done around the world. And I guess that's one of the things that's good about Pinterest or Instagram and Google Images that you can go and see a lot of dynamic work. I think about this all the time. I'm in New York a lot. I just think the architecture in New York and the buildings that are being built now are just so amazingly beautiful, and it pushes construction technology and craft. And Anthony, you're talking about putting the skin on the outside of the building. I gotta say that I'm very inspired by so many beautiful buildings that have been built in New York in the last 10 years and consistently one after another. And not because they're so tall and so narrow, but just
Right.
beautiful detail, beautiful, let's say, construction technology, manufacturing technology that's really grown and given designers and architects ability to do some amazing
Yeah,
things.
it's sometimes, especially on the west side where Hudson Yards is, I'll be at a light. Literally, I do it all the time. I'll be at a light and I'll look down the corner, and like 30 seconds ago there were no buildings there, and all of a sudden there's 17 buildings. And what I literally love, and I don't know if you've ever been with Glenn when I've stopped and done, I love all of the angles and all of the shapes because you have one building that's slanted, one building is square. And when you look down the block, it's one beautiful. I probably have like 10 of these pictures in the last 2 weeks on my phone. It looks like almost a painting. And
Yeah.
my kids are sick and tired of me saying this. I'm like, look at that building, look at that, look at that. My first building and I think it was the first real building that got attention on the west side was that building that hotels and Expedia, that building. What's that building? The wavy building with all the video in the lobby, and you see it from the west side. Glenn, help me out here. Of course, from Chelsea Piers.
Uh,
Who owns ExpediaHotels.com? Barry Diller. What's the name of that company?
I thought it was Expedia Networks or
Yeah,
something.
well, it's his headquarters, and you've probably seen it, James, 100
Yep.
times. You know what I'm talking about,
Yeah.
Glenn. If Glenn's looking to pull it up now,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
it's James, you know which building I'm talking about?
Yes, I do. I just tremendous, and so I'm inspired the same way, right? You look over your shoulder, you notice something, sweeping lines, making hard construction elements amorphic and natural. One of the ones I just so love, and it's been up there for a while, right off the High Line, is Hadid Haddad. This beautiful apartment building with all these oval shapes that are undulating, and it looks like it's all cast out of beautiful bronze, like a Giacometti sculpture. And just to be able to stand so close to that, and just truly understand how hard it is to build that kind of stuff, and that somebody invested that kind of money to build such a superior, beautiful.
And to build it in a place where you don't have enough room to walk down the sidewalk,
Yeah.
but somehow they build a $3 billion building.
Yeah.
And I that's what fascinates me the most is that they built the West Side Hudson Yards, and like we don't have space to walk down the sidewalk, but you have space to somehow get all these materials that we never see.
Yeah.
Built.
How did that happen? Right.
Yeah.
It's magic.
IAC Interactive Corp. For those of you guys who are still
Yes. Do you have a picture of the building or no? But right next to it is a building with all kinds of shapes of windows. Which like has big windows, small windows, square windows.
Building. I didn't realize that was their headquarters.
Yeah, and with the building next to it is not my favorite building, but I still appreciate the architecture of it. But it's like it's got every inch of it is a different window, and it's kind of weird. But and it's right next to my favorite. Yeah, that building. That was the first building that I really noticed.
I think that's Frank Gehry. I think it's a Frank Gehry design, and the windows are all have this beautiful kind of white, solid, opaque white goes into transparency. Gorgeous. When they put that up, gorgeous building. Yeah.
Yeah, I think they were the first one that really set the trend. Really, then you start seeing more buildings like that, and that was the one that took my breath away. Yeah. And I think also what's happening is as we get older, like if you look at all the buildings in New York, like I'm looking at an older building right now that's probably been up for 80 years, and it's beautiful and it's brick and it's got the regular windows, but then you look to the left of me and all you see is glass. Right. And they're all glass buildings, and for whatever reasons, whether easier materials, better to work with, whatever it is, they're just better, prettier looking buildings. Outside of, I love townhouses. You can't, if I can afford a townhouse on Central Park West, I would buy one. It's townhouses I love, but I just love them. I'm glad that a person like you that really does this for a living said that about New York, because I don't think New Yorkers really appreciate that enough.
Yeah. You know which one I really like? The Hearst Building, which is a modern skyscraper coming outside of a historic few floors of a building that were protected.
How they got permission to do that, I'll never know.
I know.
Landmarks can only see so many stories high. They only care so many stories high.
Right. Yeah. That's great. James, we are out of time for
Oh.
today. This was absolutely fantastic. Thank you so much for being here. How can people learn more about you and find you?
555.com, 3 letters, 3 numbers in a row.
Yep.
You can check out Marvin's Food and Fuel and Morgan's on Fulton. I'd say check out my LinkedIn page, but I don't know much about that either. Give me a call.
Shoot us. I can't take it, but Glenn, if you can, shoot us your cell number in the notes so we have it.
You can see the
when
private
we're in Chicago. We're in Chicago. We'll come by, and I'm always working on different projects. So I may just come in one day and say, "Hey, build me this."
I would love that. I would love an opportunity. I'm a big fan.
Thank you.
I'm great tour guide in Chicago and many other places.
Awesome.
You seem like a cool guy to have You seem like a cool guy to have a beer with.
I know, for sure. All right, I want to go to Chicago now. James, thank you so much for being here. Really appreciate you. Have a great
Thank you. I appreciate it. You guys have a good one.
Thank you.
Bye-bye. Man, it is certainly spring here. As this show started, I'm like, the allergies are coming on for me like crazy. So sorry if I sound all clogged up today, everybody.
Well, what a wonderful human being and a successful businessman, and just he's one of the good souls walking the earth. So if you can shoot me his cell number, I appreciate it. All right, sir, take us out, brother.
All right, everybody. Thank you so much for being here. Now we know that you're probably listening to this. So I want to try giving our video show a chance. We're on LinkedIn, novacancynews.com, YouTube, wherever you want to find us. We're at. Go check us out on Anthony's fan page, wherever you want to go. And if you are watching us every day, when you're taking that dog for the walk, why not hear our beautiful dulcet tones in your ears? Anywhere that you download your shows, we are there. All right, everybody. Thanks so much for being here. Remember, you've got one life, so blaze on, Ed.
And that's the Carter Hotel they're renovating finally.
Yeah.
Be kind to yourself.
See y'all.